Alright, I went back over in the woods to look over this old Chevy truck again today. I was just trying to, get a mental image of what it looked like, and from my memory, I didn't shoot enough video and I went to see it the other day. By the way, here's the top of the windshield and the roof section and the little vent right here. And if you look at what I just flashed over, it looked a little bit like a piece of a door. I was telling Trish when we were looking at this that we might scratch around and find the whole truck out here in under the leaves and the bushes and the other junk. But anyway, it's interesting. You can see these old solid rear wheels on here. The frame, and look at this frame. I love the way this frame comes down, and at the front it kind of curls down. That's kind of similar to the way they did on a 32 Ford. I always thought that was just a beautiful classic look as far as the frame goes. Let's see what else. There was a piece of what was left of an old spoked wheel here in the dirt. Here's the floorboard with the kickstarter on it. The old transmission is here in place. The hood is thrown over the gas tank, probably to keep water from getting in it. Which is probably a good idea. I wouldn't be able to drive out of there if there's water in the gas. Of course, you might notice a hole in the bottom of that gas tank, but these things happen. Yeah, we're taking a little closer look up under here. Actually, I pulled this up to see if that drive shaft was connected, and it is. I don't know if you can tell it from here, but that rear end is bolted dead to the frame there. This part of the truck I really like. See how this line curves down and goes straight out? That's kind of classic on a 29 Chevy, and there's a line here along the hood that matches that. It's a beautiful line. That's a beautiful piece of metal work for an old antique car right there. I love the headlight brackets, and a little extra find here. I found the old grill shell. It's crushed. Somebody smashed it all out of shape, but I've seen people straighten up metal that was in worse shape than this was. It'd be kind of fun if I could straighten that out and fix it where I could use it and put it back on the old truck. It'd be a kind of a little something extra special if I could make that work. But anyway, that's what I got here. I've got some other things to go with this. Somebody brought up this, that I do have a flathead V8 engine. I've got the transmission, a truck transmission behind that flathead V8. And a guy that I was in church with this morning, I mentioned this to him, and he said, well, I've got an old 37 or 38 Ford rear end out in there used to be a woods trailer. Well, I went over to look at it, and if you'll notice, this has the original old original wishbones radius rods on here, and that thing right there is where the springs used to hang. And you might remember Rob down in New Hampshire gave me a Model T spring. I believe it would bolt right to this, and if you took a good look at that wishbone where that comes, actually this axle's upside down, but where that comes under the axle, that's just a beautiful part of the car. There's a lot of very beautiful pieces and parts here that I'm finding, and that go together with some of the other pieces and parts that I got, and I'm kind of excited about what this all could come to be. Oh, another thing I'll say, I went out and measured the Coke machine after I went over and measured that truck, and the size is about right to make that into part of the cab. This could come out to be a really interesting project.